The following episode of Dad vs. Daughter was made possible by a contribution from Cosmos.
Pillars of the Earth was a popular game that went out of print for quite a while. Now, thankfully, Cosmos has brought it back into print. This is a worker placement game where we're going to be hiring craftsmen, we're going to be gathering resources, and then we're going to be using those in order to help build the cathedral. So let me show you how the game is played, and then we're going to peek in on Dad and his group as we play through a turn, and then we're going to come back and tell you what we think of it. So check it out. I'm going to walk you through the setup. I have the game set up for 4 players. Now, each player is going to start with one of their markers on the victory point track on the number 2. And you'll notice there's a little red flag there to indicate that. Then in turn order, starting with the first player, they're going to place their marker on 20, and you'll see there's another red flag there. And then in order, they're going to go one higher. So you can see it goes all the way up to 23 with yellow being the last player. Each player is going to get 12 workers in their color. There's 7 smaller workers, and then there's 1 bigger worker that represents 5. They're going to take their 3 master builders, and what they're going to do is they're going to put those in that black bag because we're going to draw those out later. Each player will also get a little reference card that's double-sided that tells what the game turn sequence is and the craftsman requirements that they need in order to buy and sell from the market. These 3 cards that they're going to get are the craftsman cards that they're going to start with. Each player is going to start with the same ones, and let me show you what those are. So we have the mortar mixer, and what that person says or does is they can turn 3 sand. They can do it 3 times, and they'll get 1 point each time they do it. So if they had 9 sand, they could get 3 points. Next, we have the stone cutter, and you're going to notice these are all kind of the same. The stone cutter, though, deals in stone. He can turn in 2 stone. He can do it up to 4 times, and he'll get a victory point for each one of those. And then finally, the woodworker, you can turn in 2 wood. You can do that up to 4 times, and each time you do it, you're going to get 1 victory point. Now, this is how you're going to get victory points throughout the game for the most part, is turning the resources in for victory points. Because what this represents thematically is the building of the cathedral. Each player is going to take those 3 craftsmen and they're going to place them in front of them. Now, there is a limit because you're going to be able to get craftsmen throughout the game, but you can only have 5 at a time unless you have the jack card, which is in the advantage cards, which will allow you to have 6. But if you ever take a card that would put you over 5, then you have to choose one of your existing craftsmen and basically take them out of the game. To start off setting up the board, and I'll just kind of go from left to right, we're going to take 1 metal, which is represented by the blue cubes, and we're going to put it on this little tent in the king's court. And I'm going to explain what each of the places do. You have the tan colored cubes that represents sand in the gravel pit. We have the gray cubes, which represent stone, and that is in the quarry. And then we have the brown cubes, which represent wood, and those are in the forest. At the top left corner of the board, you'll see that we have 4 gray workers, the little dudes there. And when you go to the Shiring Castle, you're going to be able to take 2 of those. Next, we have over here the marketplace, and you'll notice there are tents underneath, and we're going to put a good of each kind in each row. Now, they'll only have a maximum of 4 of each good there. So the bottom row is sand, and that either costs 2 to buy each, or you can sell and get 2 gold for each. Next is wood, which is either sell for 3 apiece or buy for 3 apiece. And then stone is 4 for selling or buying. And then up at the very top, and you can see that, there is a 5 next to a blue awning tent, and that is for the metal. Now, you can never buy metal at the market, but you can sell it for 5 apiece. Now, the rest of the setup deals with cards. Now, you can see up here at the very top, right there, we have an event scroll. We have a deck of those cards. Now, what we're going to do is we are going to shuffle these up, and then we are going to remove 4 Those are going to go back in the box, and then the remaining cards will go there, and that's going to be one of the first things that we do on a round. Next, we have the advantage cards. Same thing, we are going to shuffle these up. We are going to remove 4 from the deck, and then we are going to flip over 2 and place them in the spots here on the King's Bridge. Now there are 2 cards for the advantage cards that have these little symbols up the top here. You'll see these are like little circular windows. These 2 are reserved for last. So you're going to remove those from the deck before you shuffle them, and then you're going to put those on the bottom of the deck. We have a stack of Craftsman cards. Now there are 24 of these cards, and they represent numbers 1 through 6, and there's 4 of each. So what we're going to do is we're going to shuffle each numbered set up, and then what we're going to do is at the beginning of each of that number turn, we are actually going to place these on the board. Now the Craftsmen are going to go up here in the number 10 spot, the Shiring. We're going to put 2 there, and then we are going to put 2 more down here on the bottom of the board. Now this may not be showing up, but there's little card slots along the way. The first 2 are kind of grayed out, and then or gray, and then the next 7 are black. So what we're going to do is we have a deck of 9 resource cards, and you can see we've got stone, we've got sand, and wood. So we're going to shuffle these up, and then we're going to deal out 7 down here to the bottom. So we're going to have 2 left at the end of each round that we're not going to use. We're going to put those aside, and those will be shuffled back in at the beginning of the next round. So those 7 that we put down, we're going to separate by type. So we've got the quarry, we've got the gravel pit, and the forest. So there's 3 of each. Now we're going to place those in order of how much they cost. Now I'll just show you the way that you read the card here. So this is going to give 2 stone, but you have to have 5 workers in order to get that. And then they range in cost. Here's the next one. The quarry shows you have to have 8 workers, and you're going to get 3 stone. And if you take this card, you're going to give up 10 workers, but you're going to get 4 stone. So we've got 2 of the gravel pit that showed up and 2 of the forest. Now the rule book says that whoever last saw a cathedral is the start player. And the way you distinguish the start player from round to round is they will have one of the pieces of the cathedral, and then at the end of the round they will place this on the board. So the first player is going to start with this big piece, and the first part of the game, what players are going to do in turn order is they are going to pick which one of these cards along the bottom here that they want to take. Now they have to be able to pay for it or they can't take it. So the 2 craftsmen, they actually have to pay gold for, and you'll notice that we have the tool maker here. He is going to cost 2 gold, so if a player buys that, they will move their marker down on the income track, or the I guess the wealth track is what it's actually called. And you'll notice it's got a blue cube here. As long as that player has this card and has one of the metals, each round they're going to be able to collect 2 money. The next one here is the woodworker, and you'll notice that he's a little bit better than the base woodworker that we start with. He's going to cost 3 gold if you want to buy him, or hire him I should say, but you can turn in 1 wood. You can do it up to 2 times, and each time you do it you're going to get 4 gold. So in turn order, like I said, players are going to take turns taking one of these resource cards, and when they can't do anything anymore, they are going to pass. Once everyone has passed, that phase ends. Now, let's just say that I took this quarry card on my first turn. So you'll notice it's going to require me to have 5 workers. So I can take 5 of my little workers, or I can take 1 of my big ones. Now, the rule book says that what you do is you take those workers and you put them on the spots on the board. I guess that's okay, because that way everybody can see what everyone's going after. What my group does is we just put this card in front of us, we put that worker on, and we're good to go. But when you finally run out of workers, or excuse me, you have workers left over, and you're not taking any more cards, then whatever workers that you have left, then they're going to go over here to the wool mill. You can see that right up there. And what that's going to do is when we resolve that, each one of the workers that we've sent there is going to get us 1 gold. Now, at the end of this phase, if there are any of these cards left over, all of these resource cards are going to go back, and we will shuffle all those together, and we'll use all 9 of those. We'll shuffle all 9 together, and we'll use 7 of those for the next round. Any of the craftsman cards that we have, they are discarded from the game. The next phase of the game is basically the drawing of the master builders out of the bag. So whoever is the first player will reach into the bag and they will draw out one of the master builders. Now, what they'll do is they're going to start with the token here on 7. This is how much you have to pay if you want to place that worker first. Now, the player can either pay 7 and then they would go down on the wealth track, or they can now place this on any one of the spaces. And the spaces they can go to are the ones that have the silver markers there. Now, we don't resolve this until all of the master builders have been placed. So we'll just kind of say he's going to go there and he's going to pay 7, which would knock him from 23 down to 16. Now, the first player is going to draw another one out of the bag, and now it would cost 6. Let's say the green player, which is usually me, actually it's always me, let's say I decided not to pay the 6. So I just leave my guy there. Now the first player draws again out of the bag. This time he draws blue, and let's say blue doesn't want to pay 5 either. So we move that marker down and blue stays there, and so on. Now, one thing that the first player can do when they're drawn out of that bag, let's say they drew this master builder, once per turn, he can throw that back into the bag and then redraw another one out. And this time he draws green. And here, green can pay 4. He decides not to. He moves it on down. So eventually you're going to get this all the way down to costing 0. And then whenever you're going to pull a master builder out of the bag, then they get placed out for free. Once the bag is empty, then we're going to go back and starting with the highest number, those players are going to place those tokens or their master builders out to the different areas here. So let's just say this is what the board state looked like when we had finished pulling all of our master builders out. Now what we do is we do what's called resolve the board. And each of the spots on the board has a number. So it starts all the way up here at events, and it goes around all the way back down to the cathedral at number 14. So the first thing we do is we would flip over an event card. We would then read that for everyone. And these event cards are either good or bad. And these resolve right away. So this one says, the cathedral roof collapses. Each player loses a craftsman of his or her choice. So one of those craftsmen that we had to start the game with, or if we had bought any during that first round, then they would go away. Now, the exception is number 2 spot, the Archbishop's seat, which says protection from event, or if you don't want to be protected from it, then you get 1 resource from the market. So you just take whatever resource that you wanted. So that's the number 2 spot. Number 3 is the wool mill. And like I had said earlier, you're going to be able to get 1 gold per worker, and then those workers would return back. So in this case, green would get 4 money. Then we have number 4, which is Kingsbridge. Now, when the markers or the master builders are placed here, they are going to place them under the card they wish to get. So yellow would get this card, which is, what's her name there? Alina. She supports the building of the cathedral. Each round you receive 1 additional wood production. So pretty nice. And then green would get Jack, which I was telling you about earlier. If you have Jack, then you can have 6 craftsmen instead of the normal 5. So when you resolve these, we just really take those off and throw them back in the bag. Kingsbridge Priory, the first player to go there can get 2 victory points. The second player can get 1 victory point. Then next what we're going to do is we have 6, 7, and 8, which are the forest, the quarry, and the gravel pit. So those resource cards that we've got, basically we're going to turn those back in to that stack, and we would collect that many resources that's on each of those cards. Now we have number 9, which is the King's Court, which is where we have tax exemption. Now, if you're the first player to go there, you're going to get 1 medal. And then anyone else that goes there is going to be exempt from the king's taxes. Now, the first player is going to take that die, and the die has numbers 2 through 5 on them. I think 3's on there twice, and 4's on there twice. So they're going to roll that, and taxes for that round are going to be worth 4. So everyone would decrease on the wealth track by 4. If they ever get to the point where they can't pay their taxes, then what they're going to do is for every 2 taxes they cannot pay, they're going to lose a victory point. So you want to make sure that you can cover your taxes. So that was number 9. Number 10 is the shiring, which again, kind of like the advantage cards, whatever of the cards that you want, you're going to be placing your master builder underneath that. So in this case, blue is going to get this mortar mixer, and red is going to get this mason. And like I said, the later rounds that you get, the more efficient those workers are going to be. Next, we have number 11, which is the Shiring Castle. That player who goes there is going to get 2 of those workers, and then they'll return those at the end of the next round. Number 12 is Kingsbridge Resource Market. Now, you can buy 1 good and you can sell 1 good during each round. So let's just say, for grins, that we had 2 people that had gone there. So blue would be first to act. They can either buy or sell 1 good, and let's say he decides to buy 2 sand. So he would pay 2 apiece, so $4, and those would come off the board. Now, yellow can actually sell an item that he wants, or he could buy. And if he sells, those are going to go back to either the gravel pit, the quarry, or the forest. Then blue's going to get another turn. Blue can then buy or sell 1 resource until there's either no more left of that, and then you would not be able to buy any more of the sand. But once each player passes and decides not to do anything, then those are removed. Number 13 is the cathedral construction. Basically, the craftsmen convert resources into victory points. So that's when I was showing you before. You're going to take the resources that you have and you're going to convert them. So in this case of the mason, they're going to be able to take 1 stone, do it twice, and get a victory point each time that they do that. At the end of the round, each player can only have a total of 5 resources. Anything else, they are going to be returned to supply. Finally, number 14 is change the starting player. So then that ends the round. The player who has the piece of the cathedral would place it on the board like so. And then at the end of each turn, you're going to keep adding pieces and build the cathedral out. Until finally your cathedral looks like that. So now that I've given you an overview on how to play, let's peek in on Dad and his group, because we just played this game recently, and you're going to be able to see how the turn kind of unfolds in each of the phases. We are at the halfway point. We are in round 4, getting ready to start that. We have already put our market cards down in our craftsman. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to go in turn order, and we are going to take either the resource cards or the craftsman. Now, last turn I did claim first player, so I get to have the piece of the cathedral there. So I'm going to decide what I want to take. So we have, as far as the resources, 4 workers get you 3, 7 workers get you 4 of the sand. Then we have forest. We have 6 workers will get you 3 wood, 9 workers will get you 4 wood, and then we have all 3 of the quarry cards. 5 workers get you 2, 8 workers get you 3, and 10 workers will get you 4. I am going to take the forest, because I can see the forest for the trees, and that will be 9 workers. So I'm just going to place my 9 on there so that I can see that those are allocated. Then we're going to go in turn order, so Hefe will get to choose next.
I'm going to go grab this for 7 resources.
I almost want to buy this just to block Michael from it, but I gotta keep going with
Yeah, I almost did that.
the
too.
stoneworking engine I have.
Are you saying you were going to buy that card just to
Just to spite
just to
you.
block me,
Yes.
huh?
I
Both of
want-
you,
I
both
wanted
of you had
both.
that thought.
I wanted it,
I
but I also know you want sand as well.
So you took my sand.
So I took
is
your
what you're
sand.
saying. All right.
So you're gonna have to buy that for 8, or you can have second sand.
Well, that doesn't do me any. Yeah, I'll have to buy it for 8.
Good purchase. That makes sense for you.
And that maxes my craftsman home.
Oh, did you get the one with the extra? Oh, Tim did, didn't you? You have 6.
Well, that would really eat up everything. So I'm going to pass. So since I'm passing, I'm going to take the leftover workers that I have. I only have 3. I get to send them to the wool mill, and those are going to produce money for me at the end of the round, or at the start of the board phase.
Since Michael passed on sand, I'll take second sand for 4.
I only have 2 workers left, so I can't
Four
afford
over
anything.
4?
Although I could buy him for 6. I'm gonna pass on that. I'll put 2 workers there.
Is that 1 wood 4 times for a point?
Yeah.
Yes. But you're really pushing the limit there.
But I can get rid of it, right?
Yes,
Yep.
you can.
I can buy him and get rid of my woodworker.
Yes, you can.
And I'll spend 6
But now,
more.
if you get rid of your woodworker, it says
I-
wood purchase for you. No more wood purchases in
Yeah.
the market.
Am I last?
Nope.
I got one guy left, and I can't use him. So yeah.
Go do your wool stuff. So I'll take the wood for 6,
This guy.
and I'll take 6. I'll go get me some wool.
All right, so now that everybody has allocated their workers, these go away, and they'll come out next round possibly. And we are going to start drawing our workers out of, or excuse me, our master builders out of the bag. However, James, read the event from the last turn, because that affected what happens this turn.
It said a new town wall must be built to protect the cathedral. Next round, each player may only place 2 master builders.
So you'll notice right over here, everybody except for James has one of their builders out of the bag, because James actually went to the Archbishop's seat and was protected from that. So since I'm first player, I'm going to draw out, and I draw a red. Now what I can do once per turn, I can actually throw this back in the bag if I wish and redraw another one. So I think
You don't want to do that, do you?
no, I don't. I'm going to actually let that go.
All right.
So we're going to put that there. Now, if James wants to place that guy, he has to pay 7 gold. Now, he's got the most gold, so he may want to do that. If not, he'll sit there, and then once all of the master builders are out of the bag, then we will resolve any of the workers that are left here, but they get to be placed for free.
You know what? I think I am actually going to spend the 7. So I have 19. I'm going to go down to 12. And I'm going to place this guy right there.
All right, so we'll move down, and the next one will cost 6. It is I. You know what? I'm going to throw my guy back in the bag. So that's my 1 time, and I drew another guy.
It's always.
I'm
This is
just
the 4th
gonna
time this game
stay
has
there.
happened.
I say that?
All
Okay.
right. So next one is yellow.
Pass.
So Michael is passing as well.
It's 4.
Next one is James. You can spend 4.
Ha! Oh, it's good to be the king. You try to see additional wood production, and later on you may place wheat master bros for free. We've got what, 2 more rounds after this? 5 and 6,
5 and 6.
correct? Yeah, I'll spend 4.
Oh, so one of the things I forgot to do is I actually have this card which says that I can predict the future. Before each round, I can secretly examine the top event card. So let me go ahead and I'm going to do that right now.
Let me judge his face so that way maybe I want to change my guide over here.
Okay.
Poker face, yeah. Okay.
Isn't that a Lady Gaga song?
Yeah, that's right.
All right, so the next is blue. Would you like to spin
Actually, it was
whoops,
3.
yep.
Yeah, we didn't move that down.
down to 3?
Yes, I would.
Okay.
Not to get
1,
wood.
2, 3.
Just yes.
And for 2 is me. You know, I will pay the 2. And go there. All right. We have blue for 1. Oops.
Of course. That has paid off for you so much.
These are all beneficial now. I wouldn't go here.
That is so good. First player. But you know what? Sometimes victory's sweet.
That is 2 points for $1.
All right.
Not too bad.
Free.
Woohoo!
James?
I'd pass.
You pass?
Yeah.
Pass for the free. Oh. Got the 1 but 5 for twice. That's going to be 1, 2, 3. I have a couple stone left, but it's overrated. I think I will go here, actually.
All right, Michael, you are the last.
Tax guy, please.
All right.
Oh,
Oops.
need to put a medal up there, yeah.
All right, so now the bag is empty. Now what we'll do is we got these guys will resolve. You know what? I think I'm going to go to the tax guy.
6. This is round 4, right?
You need
Round
money.
4.
You want to sell that metal, don't you? Or are you going to keep it and just, it's going to beat the crap out of every round.
Yeah.
3.
That's true.
That's what I
Sorry,
would do.
yeah.
That's what I would do.
He's getting another medal,
Let's get
too.
another
Yeah.
one.
That'll give me 13. Yeah, I'm going to go there.
Okay.
I will be selling metal.
Okay, so all of our master builders have been placed. So now we will resolve the board in numeric order. So James, go ahead and read the event.
The event. The king celebrates a great victory over his foes. Each player receives 5 gold. So then do I don't really want
You
protection
get
from the event, so then I get
You can collect it,
get 1
right?
resource?
Yeah.
Okay. The resource though, is it only basics or can I get a medal?
Nope.
No, you cannot get a medal.
That's what I thought.
So you could take the 5 gold or the resource.
Yeah. It's your choice.
Oh, I thought it was protection.
Actually, we already gave you the 5 gold, but you can choose to.
It's your choice.
Right? Isn't it?
Oh, I thought it was like if you choose protection from the
But
event,
you're choosing
which I'm
not
not
to.
choosing protection.
Right.
Correct.
So I think I get a resource as well for going there. It's
So you
like
get
a
5 gold and a resource, right?
I believe. We'll double check though.
You can choose either to be protected from the negative event, or regardless of the event, to take 1 building resource.
So yes, I'm
you
choosing
get
not to be
both.
protected from the. That's what I think.
Yeah, you
So
get
I'm
both.
gonna go ahead and take a stone. Right.
Nice.
All right. So
And yeah, we already give you your 5.
then we go down to the wood mill here.
You would be first player.
And it comes from the market.
Okay. Oh, it comes from the market.
Yep.
Interesting. Okay, good to know.
And that way, if like the market was pretty half busy.
Right. So yellow's gonna get 6 money.
Yay!
So we're at the wool mill.
Green is gonna get 3 money.
Oops. Oops.
Oh, look at that. Red gets 2, and blue gets 1.
All right, so now we are at, we're right here.
Mm-hmm.
We're at Kingsbridge, so I will get this person,
And I will get.
which each round I receive 1 additional wood production.
All right.
2 points for blue.
2 points.
2 points for blue. Kingsbury.
And then
Kingsbridge
Kingsbridge.
Priory.
Thank you.
we produce.
Now we
Yep.
produce. So I'll get 4 wood.
2, 3 for this one. I'm going to get 4 stone, but I get +1.
7
Oh,
sand
I'll
for
get
me.
Extra wood.
That's right. Don't forget-
7
don't-
sand, he
don't forget-
said.
7 sand.
Wow.
Yeah, I took my extra sand this time.
The sad part is, I'm going to have 1 sand left.
Mr. Sandman. All right, so now we are at the King's Court. Because I was first player, I will roll the die for taxes. And taxes are 3. So James and Michael, because you have a card that you only have to pay 2.
Yep, so I only have to pay 2.
Oh yeah.
for blue.
So Michael and I are actually safe. Michael will get a medal because he was the first person to go there.
And then blue has to pay 3.
Who's the only one that suffered the wrath of the tax?
The full wrath.
All right, so now we are at the Shriering. James, you'll get the sculptor, and
Woo!
Jeff, you'll get the mason.
I have to get rid of a mason, which is okay. I will get rid of...
Because you can only have up to 5, unless you have the Jack card like I do, which means you can have up to 6.
I am actually going to kick out, I think I'm going to kick out my woodworker, which means I cannot for the rest of the game until I get another one of these purchased wood from the market. But
All right, and we are now at the King's Bridge Resource Market. So Michael is selling 1 metal for 5 monies. Nobody took the first player, so since I was first player last time, number 13 is all of our guys do their work. So what we'll do is we'll trade our resources in.
6 victory for me.
And trade all those in. 1, 2, 3. Oops. 2, 4, 5. Yep. 5 will get me 5 points for green.
James?
I'm going to get 4, 5, 6, 9 total.
8 for yellow.
Right. And I will place that on top. So we have 2 more rounds left.
Nice.
Since Hefe now is going to be the first player, we will give him the next piece that signifies that he's first player. We will reset. We have 5s. We'll put 2 of our craftsmen here, 2 craftsmen up here in the Shriering. We'll put 2 of the resources there. Or the, not resources, but the advantage cards. We'll shuffle the resource cards up and we'll deal 7 out. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We'll arrange those in by type. And now we're ready for round 5. So since you've seen how it works, now let's get to what Dad and his friends think of Pillars of the Earth. Now, as worker placement games go, this is actually pretty good. It's been around for quite a while, and I mean, because it is so good, that tells you why. The turn actually moves pretty fast, as you saw. There's not really a lot of downtime. It's easy because the board basically steps you through each thing that you're going to do, and you go, by the numbers, and the board tells you what you're going to do. So, for instance, the wool mill says you're going to take 1 gold for a worker there. The advantage cards, you're going to take whichever one your master builder is underneath. Same with the Shiring. The King's Court tells you what you're going to do, and so forth. So as far as the way that the game flows, super easy. The artwork is really cool. I like the artwork on the cards. I think they look really nice. And of course, the artwork on the board is really cool too. The components themselves, all of the workers and your master builder and all that are all wood. Your resources are wood. The cathedral's nice and wood. The only thing I really wish they would have done, and I get that this is probably a cost thing, is it would have been neat to have these have detail on them. Heck, I'd even settle for having stickers to put on there to make it look like an actual cathedral. Now, I do know that on Board Game Geek, I've seen where people have made their own stickers and put it on there, or they've done their own painting. That's really not my kind of thing. I'd rather have something that came with the game that way, but there are options out there if they want to do that. The game does not overstay its welcome. It's only played over 6 rounds. So like I said, the game actually moves pretty quick, especially after you get that first round out of your way. If you are a new player to this game, you're going to pick it up pretty quick, I think. So the learning curve is actually pretty small there. Like I said, as far as worker placement goes, this is probably one of my favorite worker placement games that I actually have in my collection. It's a lot of fun, so I highly recommend this. Now, everybody that I've played this with has always been in my game group. I know a few of us have our own copies of it. We all really enjoy playing it. I have not heard a negative thing said from any of my group about Pillars of the Earth. I know I covered this in our unboxing video, but just in case you didn't see that, the game's insert is actually really cool. So you've got the spots here for all of the building parts of the cathedral, your cards, and then your slots for all of your resource tokens and your workers. The fact that you're removing 4 event cards and 4 of the advantage cards is going to give you a different flavor each time you play. So I really think that adds to the replayability of this game and also adds that to the appeal of the game as well. Now, the only real negative I've had about the game is the board itself. As you can see, the board is a little warped. It does not lay flat. So prior to playing, you might want to try to put some weights on there to try to flatten that out. But really, that's the only negative. All the rest of the components are really top-notch, I think. So now that you've heard what I think and what most of my game group thinks, let's hear what my buddy Chris has to say about it.
Hi, this is Chris with a few thoughts on Pillars of the Earth. So first off, I first played Pillars of the Earth with the original printing, but I played it while it was out of print. And when I played it, I really enjoyed it. Kind of a spoiler of where I'm going to, but I really enjoyed it, and I was very, very disappointed to find that it was out of print. It was an early game as I started to get into gaming that I learned, and I wasn't familiar with the concept of games being out of print, and I looked everywhere for it. Really, really disappointed when I found out how much people were charging because it was out of print. So when I heard that Cosmos was reprinting it, I was super excited. Again, a spoiler, it didn't disappoint. When you hear about reprintings, you think about, is it going to be the same quality? Is it going to use the same art? Is it going to do all these things? This really did. Uses the same art, which I really like. The components are fantastic, especially with this one. The cathedral that you're building, while it's probably over the top and not necessary, one of the main features of the game is the cathedral that you're building. And so with a reprint, I was a little nervous about how this was going to come out. It really, they did a great job keeping with the original big chunky components. Really, really good. So I guess while we're talking about components, the wooden pieces, the master builders, really nice wooden, some ornamentation on it, really, really nice. The goods cubes, small wooden cubes, but again, you can tell what it is you're dealing with, and they're going to last. The meeples, the workers, nice design to them. And honestly, at this point, I do not remember from the original if these were cubes or actual meeples, but I really like the shapes that they've gone with this. The only downside that I can come up with from a component perspective is, number one, small cards bother me. I know that there's a huge financial impact on going to bigger cards, but I mean, hands and cards, it's just too small. But I can look past it because I really love this game. The other thing about the cards is there's no linen finish. but it's a light color around the outside, so you're not going to get the chipping like that you would have if you had a black border or anything. It works. It's not going to be a problem. Worst case is you sleeve it if you're afraid that you're going to bend up the cards or do any damage to it. Worker placement, we've talked about this before. Worker placement's my favorite style of game, and this does a really interesting thing with it. So things that I like, random cards coming out each round, the random workers. You have a larger pool, and it's a small subset that comes out each round. You're not exactly sure what it's going to be. It's not completely random. You're going to get, and I forget exactly what the number is, 7 out of the 9, whatever it is. So there's a few that aren't going to come out in this round, and you don't know if you can manage around that or not. The money tracker. I like the money. I like being able to visually see all of the money that everybody has, so that I know what people can afford and what people can't. It's all right there in an easy to spot place. The Master Builder bag, this is the biggest thing. So when you pull the Master Builders out and the order that you pull them out, I really like that mechanic. So it's random in nature of when you're going to be able to go. And you have to pay if you want to take the early action, right? So if I get pulled first or second, it's going to be really expensive, but I can absolutely get the spot that I want. Or if there's not a spot that I think I really need right now, I can wait and have it free. I just have to wait until everybody else takes their actions. So I like that quite a bit. The event cards, I like the randomization that the event cards give you, but I also like specifically how you have positive and negative events. So you may have something where everybody's going to get a benefit, or everything where everybody's going to get a penalty. Along the same lines, though, I also like the fact that I can mitigate those things. I can mitigate taxes, and I can mitigate events if it's going to be a negative. I really like that ability to do that. I like the fact that you can upgrade your workers, but you can only have 5 active at any given time. And if I overlay certain workers with upgraded workers, I may lose a benefit because I've covered over one of the particular workers I need in order to get a benefit. The order of resolution, also the way that you go through and resolve each event as you go around the track. Knowing which order those are going to resolve in allows you to do a little bit of mini engine building. So I can gain my resources before I need to spend my resources, and I can plan that along the way. So I really like that aspect of the game. The time for play, 90 minutes or so, even with newer players, 90 minutes holds. It's the right amount of time. It doesn't stay too long, but it allows you to feel like you've accomplished something. I really like that. The only thing that I can call out, aside from the cards that I mentioned, I love the fact that this got reprinted. I really want the expansion to be reprinted as well. So I'm waiting for that to happen. This has been out for a little bit of time. Thank you, Cosmos, for that. If we could get that expansion, that would be tremendous. As you're well aware at this point, I really like this game. It's in my collection. I bought it immediately when the reprint happened so that I could have it in the collection. It's in my top 20 games. I love this game. Thanks. Bye.
So that is Pillars of the Earth, and we will catch you guys next time.
If you would like to support us, you can visit patreon.com/dadvdaughter.
Like and follow us on Facebook to stay current on our show schedule, sneak peeks at future shows, and to interact with us.